So in this video, I want to cover how to get started with cold email and more specifically, how you can actually leverage some of the most modern sales technology to make cold email a very, very profitable channel for any B2B company. Whether you are a software company or an agency or a consultancy, as long as you're a B2B company and you have a defined target audience, this is going to work. So I speak with a lot of sales teams and even some larger sales teams, and I can confidently say that the systems that I'm going to be mentioning in this video is not used by that many people. And those who do are absolutely crushing it. As with anything, there will always be a period of time where a certain system or approach to anything is very blue ocean, it's very new. And that's what I'm seeing with some of the new ways to scale up cold email systems and leverage AI in those emails and also maximizing email deliverability as well. So that's what I'm going to be sharing. And I recommend that any company that can make use of cold email actually does so, either by having a consultancy like us help them implement it, or they can research it and do it themselves. Either way, I think you are missing out if you're not doing it. So let's get into this. So the first step here is finding a sending tool and building up an infrastructure. So a sending tool is essentially a sequencer which is going to be sending out the actual emails automatically. So how that works is you connect a bunch of email accounts to that sending tool. You then craft campaigns within the sending tool, and you can start sending out emails to prospects that you have uploaded to that specific platform. So I typically recommend Instantly. It's the one I use. It's also a good one on the market called Smart Lead. So both of these work very well. Based on the research I have done, I think Instantly is a little bit better on the deliverability side of things. So I stick with that. It's also, most of my clients find it more user friendly, so I typically stick with that. And when it comes to building up the infrastructure, it's not as simple as just buying a bunch of email accounts and then starting, right? So what you have to do nowadays, because of some of the restrictions from Microsoft and Google, is build up a diversified infrastructure where you are using different ESPs or email service providers. So Microsoft, Google, and you can also leverage some private infrastructures that are being built. There are some pretty good ones out there now. The point being, you have to diversify your infrastructure. And the reason for that is there are constantly changes from Google and Microsoft. They're updating their spam filters. They're changing the way that cold email has to be done effectively. And you have to follow those changes very, very carefully if you want to make cold email work and if you want to be in the top 5% of senders. And this is why a lot of people don't succeed with automated cold emails, because they don't actually take the time to study this channel, right? Like nobody goes into paid advertising and just like quickly sets up a campaign and then they hope for the best, right? But some people seem to have that thought about cold email. So they think they can just open Instantly and they can put in some random copies and some data and then everything's going to work out. But that's not actually how it works. You have to be a bit more careful, a bit more strategic, not only on the targeting side of things, not only on the copywriting side of things, but also the way that you build your entire infrastructure. Now, the next thing is getting access to data that you need and also mapping out your TAM. So data access, this is obviously going to depend on who exactly you want to target. So there are some general databases out there like Apollo and LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Seamless.ai, Zoom Info. So those are obviously very broad databases and you can find a lot of different people there. But you can also get very specific. So if you're looking for any different type of ICP, sometimes there are going to be specific databases that are designed for that purpose. So for example, if you want to take funded tech companies, something like Crunchbase is an excellent choice. If you want to find investors or people within private equity, etc., you can use something like PitchBook. So there are different ways to leverage these databases depending on your actual goals. So this is something you have to identify. Where can I find the data of my ICP? And then also you have to map out your TAM. And what exactly do I mean by map out your TAM? So what I mean by that is you have to find out how much data can we actually find. Like how many decision makers can we successfully identify and collect their contact information. And this is something you're going to have to use later down the line when you have to decide how many emails you're going to be sending, right? Because you don't want to burn through your TAM immediately, right? If you have you're targeting 1,000 enterprise accounts worldwide, obviously you're not going to buy an infrastructure that's capable of sending 5,000 emails per day. So map out your TAM, see exactly how many people you can target. And from there, you should decide okay, so how how am I actually going to set up this infrastructure? Because I would also say if you have a very small TAM, you want to focus on very heavy personalization. Whereas if you have a very large TAM, you want to set up some campaigns that are capable of sending out a lot of volume and really get some nice data about message market fit, etc. So that's a bit about the next step, which is data and mapping out your TAM. Very, very important. Then the next step is email deliverability. Now, for those that are not totally familiar with that concept, it's essentially your ability to land in the primary inbox of prospects. So what has happened, especially this year, is that email service providers are always trying to find a balancing act. So obviously they don't want to end up in a situation where every single email that is being sent cold out to another company is landing in spam, because there are several legitimate purposes of actually sending out cold emails besides just a sales sort of environment. So this could be somebody looking for a job, it could be somebody a legal letter to another company. Like there's so many different scenarios in which it's completely legitimate to send an email to a different company that you haven't had any previous engagement with. So but also they want to balance that with making sure that people are not flooded with too many irrelevant emails about marketing. So they have to always balance their filters, the spam filters, to make sure that not too many of these irrelevant spammy emails are getting through. And this means that you have to make email deliverability one of the most important aspects of your cold email strategy. And this is actually a multi-level problem, because there's a lot of things that goes on when it comes to the setup. There's a lot of things that goes on when it comes to settings within the, obviously DNS settings. Most people know what that is if you have any experience in cold email. So DNS settings, also the sending tool settings, everything that has to do with like your sending volume, your sending intervals, etc. And you have to perfect that, but then also there's a level 2 deliverability on the copy side of things. So if you're sending out emails to people that are irrelevant, right, your targeting is way too broad, you haven't, specifically targeted your ICP, what's going to happen is that you're going to get a lot of spam reports. And manual spam reports by humans is one of the absolute biggest elements when it comes to the email service providers actually deciding whether or not that specific sending account should have a good or a bad sending reputation. And that's obviously because the most reliable way to actually determine whether or not an account is sending spam is what people, the recipients, actually classify it as. So you want to have very, very targeted emails that have good copywriting, that have good offers, so people are not going to mark it as spam. But also you have to make sure everything on the technology backend side of things is also taken care of. So deliverability is a huge, huge part of cold email. And if you're not willing to study this very, very carefully, or at least hire somebody who can tell you how to do it, then you shouldn't go into cold email at all. So I have a few things here we typically do for clients. This is not exhaustive, by the way, but there's a few here you can read. Now, the next one is preparing to iterate and test. So if we assume you have some basic level of product market fit within your company, right? There's some evidence to suggest that people actually have, a tangible demand for your product. Then you want to go ahead and find message market fit. And message market fit is essentially the correct way to frame your offer, position your offer, such that it actually garners the interest of your ICP. Because if that's not the case, obviously, it doesn't matter if you have product market fit. If nobody's actually engaging, nobody's actually interested based off the message itself, then product market fit doesn't matter. Like you could say whatever. So that's very, very important. And luckily, a tool like Instantly, which I use for sequencing and I use as my sending tool, it has very nice features to do these kind of split tests. So if you have a large TAM, you can run very, very large campaigns and test 5 to 10 different angles, and you can see which one resonates with prospects the best. And the beautiful thing about that is you can actually sort of extrapolate the data and the results from those tests over to other channels, such as paid advertisement, such as cold calling, such as LinkedIn, such as organic content, etc. If one message really resonates over cold email, there's a very good chance that it also will resonate with prospects on other channels. So very important part of the whole cold email game as well. And then you also want to prepare to inbox manage, because obviously, it's not enough just getting that, interested reply. You also have to optimize speed to lead. You have to have good replies when they actually do get back. You have to be able to handle any potential objections. And you have to just be able to nurture your leads over time and actually build a sufficiently large pipeline. because that's, you know, the name of the game, right? You want to build up a pipeline of potential customers. Not everyone is going to convert immediately. Some people need a few emails, other people are going to hop on a call immediately. So that's a very big part of it as well. Now, if you are a person that does not have a sales team, or you know, you don't have the time to manage it yourself, you can get a virtual assistant to handle this. It's a good way to do it, because you want to really maximize the efficiency of your inbox management, because it's a very, very, very large part of the game as well. You can get all the interested replies in the world, but if you're reaching back out to them after 1 week, what's going to happen is that they're going to go cold. They're not going to want to engage with you, because they're like, okay, well, if I answer this guy, he's probably going to take another week to get back to me. So why would I, right? So very, very important that you also go hard on the inbox management side of things. Now, what I've went through here is obviously very high level. And the reason why I'm going through this on a very high level sort of overview is because if I were to go into detail, this video would be 5 hours long. Like, there are so many elements to running a successful cold email campaign. It's not just about whipping up some campaign on a sending tool and then you're good from there. You have to really, like with anything else in your business, like imagine the process you had to develop your product, right? You have to go through that same strategy of actually, you know, building out your cold email system. Like, you have to sit down for days and write out every single benefit of your product, why it's better than your competitors, and then you craft angles from that, and then you go ahead and you find your message market fit, right? So this is sort of the mind frame that people need to get out of, that it's just going to be easy, it's going to be a breeze, I can just set this up and I'm going to find out within a month if it works. There's a good chance it might take you 2 months, 3 months to actually find message market fit, but once you do, it's going to become super profitable and it's going to be very low maintenance. That's what I've seen across clients. Like, when they actually crack that code, that's when this becomes one of the absolute best B2B customer acquisition channels. So if you if you're not prepared to go into this entire process of learning this, going through that trial and error, what we do offer here at Scalander is to come into your company and set up this entire system for you. So we take care of all the technology behind it, and we also consult you on how to actually run this system. So we take all our learnings from building hundreds of these systems, and we just apply it to your company. This goes for both copy, data, email deliverability, the entire infrastructure. So if you want to do that, if you want to invest into this channel, which I highly, highly recommend that you do, we are ready to help. So I hope this video was helpful if you want to start your cold email journey. And yeah, thanks for watching.